Welcome back to the Birdcage. I'm Jack Kenna, joined alongside Kolton Kennon, and today we will be recapping Kansas's victory over Oakland and previewing their game against UNC-Wilmington tomorrow. Colton, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Almost Thanksgiving break. The season, basketball season's gone by pretty fast already. I mean, seems like literally yesterday we filmed our first video, or you filmed your first video, and I was on with you with the Arkansas expedition. But already 4 games in, and then Kansas has UNC Wilmington, and then a couple hard matchups coming up.
Yeah, it's we're getting to the juice of college basketball. The games are starting to finally get good here in the next few weeks, but right now we have to preview a game against UNC Wilmington and then recap our game on Saturday against Oakland. Did you get a chance to watch the Oakland game at all?
Yeah, so I worked the pregame and postgame show, so I didn't watch all of it, but I did. I saw some of the stats, and it was a pretty good, pretty clean game from Kansas. I mean, obviously the banner was unveiled. Shout out
Mhm.
Coach Self. That
Coach
was
Self.
I wish I could have been there for that. That would have been sick. But
Mhm.
Kansas won pretty comfortably, and then KJ Adams had a really good bounce back game, I think, too.
Yeah, KJ Adams played really good. He was one of the Kansas players that has been getting a lot of hate, almost a lot of
Especially on Twitter.
questions, especially on Twitter from the burners, kind of questioning why he's even still in the starting lineup. But KJ Adams had a good game. 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 12 points. Obviously, KJ Adams is a threat in the air, and that's just who he is. That's who he is. That's what he's going to do. He provides a lot of things that aren't necessarily scoring, but he does a lot of the dirty work, blue collar work. It was a breakout game for AJ Storr. AJ Storr led the team in scoring with 16 points, all off the bench, 7 of 9 from the field, 2 of 3 from behind the 3 point line. Do you think this is going to be a good game to get, or do you think this is going to be the game to get AJ Storr going? Because I know he's had a slow start in his Kansas tenure.
Yeah, even against like Michigan State, he would show like flashes where you could see like how good he could really be. He'd
Mhm.
knock down like a transition three or make an insane layup, and then there's also plays where it looks like he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing out there on the offense.
Yeah.
So I mean it's hard to say just because it was Oakland. No discredit to Oakland. I mean they beat Kentucky last year in March Madness, but they're just not on the skill level as Kansas. So it's hard to say. I mean, I think you just really have to wait until a higher caliber team plays Kansas, like Duke in a
Mhm.
couple weeks or next week. But I hope so as a Kansas fan. I mean, I hope if the shots start falling, I think his confidence will go back up. And it's not necessarily all his confidence, though. It's still him trying to find his way in the offense, like you said.
Yeah, for sure. This was a game where Kansas really relied on their bench, which is really different from last year. Kansas had 36 bench points, and I think last year the team averaged less than 12 points off the bench, maybe even less than 11.
It
Um,
honestly probably was less. I'm not gonna lie.
it probably was. I wrote an article about it this weekend. So check it out if you haven't on Kansas Sports. But it was insane. They really did just flip this whole identity in the portal. They were like, no, we're gonna have people on our bench who can contribute. Granted, it's against Oakland, so we're going to need to see what this team can do against tougher competition. They have Duke coming up after UNC Wilmington, or yeah, and then they have Creighton. I know they have Missouri, NC State. So we'll really get a good look at what this team can do. But last year they averaged 11.79 points per game off the bench. This year it's up to 34 and a half. Um,
So bad.
this it really excites me though. The production
No,
that we
yeah.
have off the bench, like it's good. It's good
Yeah.
production. We have guys on the team now who aren't afraid to shoot the open shot. Rylan Griffin, Zeke Mayos, AJ Storr. A very impressive list there. And hopefully this is something that can continue. Did you see anything else in that Oakland game that you kind of want to touch on?
I mean, I'm like, yeah, I hit on it just a little earlier, but KJ Adams, it's good to see him get back. Like you said, he's been getting a lot of hate on Kansas Twitter, and I know no player really cares about that, and Coach Self doesn't care about it. But I mean, like you said, Coach Self brought people to come off the bench. I personally don't think KJ Adams will ever come off the bench when he's in a Kansas
Yeah.
form, just because Coach Self loves him. I'm not saying there's the right way or the other. I mean, it's Coach Self. He can do what he wants. But I think he brought Rylan Griffin, Zeke Mayer, AJ Storr. So one of those guys could come off the bench, and it just so happens that AJ Store has been the one to come off the bench. But yeah, like I said, I don't think KJ Store or KJ Adams will ever come off the bench. But it is good to see him kind of get his confidence up. But it will be hard for him. Like, I mean, it is Oakland, so the height wasn't that big of a disadvantage for anyone. I mean, Hunter Dickinson kind of dominated. He didn't have that too many points, but he kind of got whatever he wanted. But
Yeah.
against teams like Duke and Creighton that are tall, I mean, I'm kind of worried to see like I mean, KJ Adams is playing the four. He can guard anywhere, but when there's height involved, it will be kind of sketch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, definitely for sure. You touched on Store, Mayo, Griffin. All three of those guys are pretty much interchangeable in and out of the lineup. AJ Store, I feel like, is actually the most talented after all. If you combine
Yeah,
all, or if you look at all of them, AJ Store is the most talented, but he's
I
definitely
think
taking the longest to fit in so far.
I think AJ Store's the most talented, and it's just such a different role than what he had at Wisconsin. I think Zeke Mayo kind of like mentally is doing a little better because he's from Lawrence. Like I don't know how much of a difference that actually makes, but like
Yeah.
I feel like this has been his dream ever since he's like a kid. Like he's from Lawrence playing
Yeah.
at KU. But so
Mhm.
like I feel like he's just right at home and he's really happy to be there. And then Rylan Griffin has so much experience with Bama as well, who literally made a Final Four team.
Mhm.
So I think AJ Store's kind of just fitting in, but I mean I'm sure he'll be fine. And I heard Coach Self say he's happy with where AJ Store is. I mean he could obviously do some stuff better, but he's happy.
Yeah. Kansas picked up a 78-57 win over the Oakland Golden Grizzlies on Saturday and now turn their attention to UNC-Wilmington in less than 24 hours. UNC-Wilmington is 3-0 on the year, but they have faced nobody. Their first game of the season, they put up 143 points in a shootout against Mount Olive. Um, so I really don't feel like this is going to be a huge challenge for the Jayhawks tomorrow. It's their last tune-up game though,
Yeah,
because
I don't no, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say as we know they go play Duke in Vegas
Yeah.
after this. So it really is a tune-up game.
No, so I haven't watched UNC Wilmington, but I was looking at their roster. I don't know how many of these guys start, but they have a 6'11 forward, a 6'9 forward, a 7 footer, and then another 6'11 forward. So they are pretty tall. So you never know. Maybe I doubt all those guys actually play. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if they do, I mean it might be a good look to see what we do against height because we are a lot taller than we were last year. I mean AJ Storr and Zeke May are both 6'6", 6'7", but
Yep.
I mean, we don't have 2 or 3 7 footers, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game. I do think Kansas does come out with the victory, but a team that is 3-0, a team that, like you said, has some height that could cause Kansas some troubles. I'm not really worried about it
No.
because I really do feel like this team is one of the best teams in the country, even if they haven't necessarily looked the part so far this season. I know that's been what a lot of people have been hating on Kansas for. I guess hating is an
Yeah.
interesting word, but a lot of criticism has been pointed towards they haven't looked the best team in the country so far. So it will be interesting to see how that game goes tomorrow, but I really don't think it's going to be that big or
Big of an
that
issue
much.
for KU.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a big issue.
I mean, I mean, I'm sure you have just before we leave the subject of KU being number one of the new AP poll rankings, do you agree with like the top five? You still at one? And honestly, I think KU has a good enough resume. Like, I mean, it's only been 4 or 5 games, but like they beat North
Um,
Carolina and Michigan State.
yeah, you keep talking while I pull it up. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
so I know
real quick.
UConn. I don't know exactly, but I do know UConn jumped to number two, and then Purdue obviously beat Bama. So Purdue, I think, is up there. But I know it's KU one, UConn two, and then I'm not sure about
Yeah, it's
like
Gonzaga 3, Auburn 4, Iowa State 5. I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's going to be what we see come
in a couple weeks.
yeah, come March especially.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I really feel like UConn's just not as good as they were last year. I know they're 3-0, but they beat up on some pretty poor teams. I'm excited to see UConn play some competition. Gonzaga has a game tonight, actually, 9 o'clock. I know you have your intramural game, but they play San Diego State. I'm going to be tuned into that game.
Oh, that'll
Auburn,
be a pretty good game.
yeah. Auburn's shown that they're capable. Purdue, huge win over Alabama last week. I feel like they should almost be higher. Purdue's a dominant team again. Excuse me. I know they've been getting a lot of questions regarding the missing Zach Edey, but that team's gonna still be Purdue. That's still gonna be
Yeah.
a Painter coached team. That team will be really good. Kentucky jumps up 10 spots because they beat Duke. Duke falls six
Uh,
spots because they lost to Kentucky. I feel like Kentucky's a really good team, actually.
yeah, Kentucky's really good.
I genuinely feel like Kentucky's a really good team and they can shoot the lights out of the basketball.
Yeah, and that might be scary for Kansas because Duke is going to be pissed off from losing that Kentucky game, so they're going to
Oh.
be all out whenever we play them next week.
The worst loss of the entire week was Arizona. They go to
That was
Wisconsin and get their
Wisconsin.
butts kicked. 103
Caleb
points.
Love,
Wisconsin scored 103 points. Wisconsin.
yeah, and Caleb Love played bad, dude. I mean, he played bad.
Yeah. That was not a very good game. Overall, I feel like the AP poll is the AP poll. Take it as you wish. I need to start putting out my polls every week because I
It's
feel like
better.
I would have a little bit of differing opinions. Um,
Is Rutgers ranked? I know it's like really
yeah,
far right.
Rutgers is ranked. Rutgers is 24. They're
Okay.
3-0. I don't know. It is what it is. We're so early into the season. But when I'm looking at the AP poll, I don't like seeing teams with like I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how Baylor's higher than Creighton right now. I really don't.
And I will agree, like I know you're a Creighton fan, but dude, Baylor lost by 40 points to Gonzaga.
Yeah. I mean, Baylor has a game
They beat
later.
Arkansas, but like, I mean,
Baylor plays St. John's later in the week, and that's gonna give us a real
I'm excited for
like a
that game.
better I
St.
feel like that's
John's gonna
gonna
win.
I mean St. John's is your Final Four prediction. You had them that far. So I feel like that's gonna be a literally a game to watch. Creighton plays Nebraska on Friday. Duke has a big game.
Who do they play?
Why am I hold on. I know Duke basketball has a huge game against Arizona on Friday before
Caleb
they
Love
play
owns Duke.
Kansas.
Dude, I
Um,
feel like Arizona might win because Caleb Love kind of owns Duke.
I need to see maybe they could. They need a bounce back win after getting stumped by
Is
Wisconsin.
it at Arizona or at Duke?
Uh, looks like that's at Zona. Is that Arizona? I could see a world where Arizona wins that game for sure.
Dude coming in with two losses against Kansas would be scary.
Yeah, John Shire would have those boys right. Overall, the AP poll is the AP poll. I guess we're 2 full weeks into the year.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. For a lot of games this week that are going to help us figure out what teams are actually here to compete and what teams are just here. I'm really excited about it. I feel like it's a great week of basketball. So, I'll be on my couch all weekend.
I mean, there's no better way. I'd much rather be watching this college basketball than college football or than Kansas versus Colorado college football. So
I will say the minute college basketball starts, college football pretty much becomes irrelevant to me. I could care less about it. I got a
wow.
lot of
Wow.
hate for saying that. Uh,
Yeah.
I did say that in the Kansas meeting, and I got a lot of looks and a lot of hate. But that's just how I am. I'm a basketball
So
guy.
hey, some people they like college basketball way more.
College basketball is better, and I'll say it here: NBA Christmas is better than NFL Thanksgiving, and that's just the truth. That's the truth.
Wow.
Christmas Day NBA basketball is some of the best basketball you will see. Um,
I mean, I will give you this. They actually put good teams on there rather than the NFL who just put the Bears on there and it's just like, dude, what are
yeah,
we doing?
a little Liam Carson, Charlie Krupski dish right there. We don't want to watch the Bears on Thanksgiving,
I'd
but
rather just be even watching college basketball.
that's what I'm saying. But that is all we have today. The Kansas Jayhawks beat up on Oakland last weekend and will take on UNC-Wilmington tomorrow. I'm sure we will have a recap video out on the channel once that game kind of wraps up. But from me, from Kolton, that is all we have right now. Kolton, thank you for joining me today,
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
and we will catch you guys later.